learning Nesivas Shalom on Pirkei Avos. He asked a question. Chazal looked at midos as not just like, oh, Uncle Moshe, marvelous midos machine. That's for like first graders. You learn about midos and you sing about it. Chazal looked at somebody who has good midos, as the most important thing that you could have. And everything is built, as we're going to learn, and all the Torah that you learn is built on who you are, and your midos is you. So then the question is, why doesn't the Torah talk about it? If midos is so important, maybe even more important than the Torah, as we're going to learn, why doesn't the Torah start talking about midos? Be nice to people, fargin, don't be jealous, all the midos that there are. Why doesn't it say? Reb Chaim Vital says, you know why? That even though midos is so important, it's a darga achi gavoya, it's the highest level of Yiddishkeit, is the concept of good midos. You know why it doesn't say it in the Torah? Lefisha ha-Torah nitna achar tikun ha-midos. The Torah is given to you after you work on your midos. Ki ha-midos ha-metukenes hein ha-merkava la-ashrois hashchina. Somebody who has good midos, fixed midos, because we're all broken. We're born, give me that toy. We're born selfish, self-centered. When we are metakein our midos, we fix ourselves to be derhoibena people, different than the other people who don't work on themselves. Then you are a merkava, a chariot, to be ra'oi, to be fitting, to have kedusha, to have Torah. Ki ha-midos ha-metukenes hein ha-merkava la-ashrois hashchina, la-ashrois ha-Torah. Dirak mishatiyar v'zichach midosav, only somebody who purifies his midas. Yechola ha-Torah lishkain ba, can the Torah dwell inside of him? The person may have knowledge of Torah. Now we all know that the difference between Torah and the other types of knowledge, let's say mathematics, history, there's a lot of knowledge. But the knowledge doesn't change who you are. It's just information. You don't become a different type of person by becoming a math major. But when you learn Torah, you become a different type of person. Because Torah is Ur. Torah is the Ur of Hashem that goes inside of you and lights you up. And that's why a person can learn Torah to the extent that they have Das Torah. Their mind, their thinking is in line with Torah, which is from Hashem. It says that when Hashem created the world, there was an Ar Haganus. There was a hidden light. It wasn't hidden, it was Ar. And Hashem had to hide it. Heichon Ganzu, where is it hidden? L'tzadikim la'asad lavai. It says it's hidden for the tzadikim la'asad lavai. Pashut means in Olam Haba. So the Sfarim say no, la'asad lavai, for the tzadikim that are going to come. It's hidden where? Heichon Ganzu, in the 36 Masechtas of Torah. It was 36 hours of light, and they're hidden in the Torah. That's why somebody who is a Talmud Chacham, who sits and learns Torah, he can access the Torah, he can access the Ur HaGanuz, and that's, if you think about it, you could have somebody that all he does is sit and learn. You go to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, what did he do? Line after line after line after line. But he was able to see from one end of the world to the other. He was able to play around with neshamas. So many stories. He wasn't in this world. Where did it come from? It came from Torah. Because Torah has the Ur of Hashem inside, and it has the Ur HaGanuz, which is the unlimited light of Hashem hidden inside, for the tzaddikim, la'asad lavei, that are going to come throughout planet Earth. Not la'asad lavei like we think in Shemayim. So there's so much in Torah. But he says, but only somebody who is mezachech his midos, he purifies his midos, the Torah can be dwelling inside of him. Otherwise, he'll know Torah like he knows math, but he won't become Torah. He won't have Das Torah. I know somebody who was in yeshiva who was brilliant. He was mamish brilliant. He knew more Torah than anybody. he just grasped it. He knew the shiurim. Everybody went to him to ask kashas. He seemed to know stuff that we never learned. He was young and he just knew everything. He did not have good midas. He didn't work on himself. He was a Baal Gaiva. He was, he just didn't have good midas. He thought he was better than everybody. He was judgmental. He wasn't tolerant. I never heard of him. It's 30, 40 years later. He should be the Gadol Adar. Never heard of him. The Torah didn't change him because Torah was knowledge to him. Torah was external knowledge in his brain. It wasn't in his being because he didn't work on being mezachech, on purifying his own midos. Like Avram said, we are nothing. Moshe Rabbeinu said, Anachnu ma. The big tzaddikim, they feel like they have no ego. They work on themselves to take this huge thing called ego and self, and they lower it until they're dust. Then the Torah is not just knowledge, it fills them. They have das Torah. But if you don't work on your midos, you don't have midos tovos, right? Whatever that is, and you see it's not just what you think it is, then the Torah doesn't change you. We see that they put Chaim Vital and in Mekubalim and Nerizal and in all of the real understanding of Torah, they put it on the highest levels. Why? So let's review what we just learned. We learned that Midas is the most important thing. But why does the Torah not list and talk about Midas? Because the Torah is an instruction manual given to somebody who's already in the training. The example that I gave last time, a person wants to go to the army. First, they put him through an extensive training. He's mezachich, not his midas, but his body. All of a sudden, that pudgy guy, he's doing 200 push-ups with one hand. You want to be in the Marines, you want to be in the army, and they're training him, and they're putting him in all kinds of physical, emotional, psychological training. He graduates the training, then they give him the book. They give him the manual, the 613 laws of how to deal in the army. But you don't give that to somebody who just shows up, who can't do a push-up, who doesn't have self-control, who if you give him a gun, he's going to freak out and he's going to start shooting people. No, first the person has to have self-control, and then we can teach you how to control others. We can teach you how to do combat. But it would be the most dangerous thing in the world to give missiles or helicopters or to somebody who's trigger happy, to some redneck who's drunk and it doesn't have any self-control. They're going to be shooting people up. So the manual of the army, of the Navy SEALs, of anything, is only given after you're in the group. To be in Klal Yisrael, to be Zoche, that Torah should be given to you, how to live as a Jew, you first have to be a Jew. The Inyan is purification of our midos, of our character traits. We are all born with flawed traits, and we are here to purify them. By the way, Agav, on the side, I always say, I have hundreds of parents coming to me, beautiful people, tzaddikim, talmidei chachamim, rosh yeshivas, rosh kohelim, and they come to me because nebuch they have a kid who's off the derech and who's out of control. And it turns out that the way to save the kid is when we work on ourselves. Because you cannot control the uncontrollable. You cannot control an out-of-control teenager or young adult. But you can influence them. And the whole mahalach of TP, which is so Toradic, is so beautiful. And I see people breaking their midas. And I tell them, it turns out that your parents tried to change you and they gave up when you got married. Your yeshiva, your Rosh Yeshiva tried to work on you and he gave up when you left yeshiva and you went to koil. And then your wife tried to change you or your husband tried to change you when you got married and then they gave up. And now at 50 years old, approximately, you will be the same rotten midas, whatever bad midas you have, until Admei Ve'esrim, until 120, you are above the age of negotiation. My house has to be my way. You're not changing anymore. Comes along this crazy cuckoo kid who's suicidal, who's off the derech, who's standing up to you. and you don't want to lose him. And you come to a class called TP, Twisted Parenting, and you hear about the Baal Shem Tov and how he said to deal with him, and the Chazon Ish, and Rav Pam, and Rav Shimshon Pincus. And in order to do that, in order to follow the Derech HaTorah to save your kid's life physically, emotionally, and spiritually, you have to have what? Tremendous self-control. And so many parents tell me, a year or two later, I don't even recognize myself. Thank you, Hashem, that you gave me this kid in pain, for me to grow, for me to change. I had a daughter of a Rosh Hashiva. She was about 60, 65 years old. Her father was a big Rosh Hashiva. And she told me a few years after coming to me, she said, Avi, when I came to you, I honestly thought that I was done. I had no more self-growth. I don't have tznius issues. I don't talk Lashon Hara. I say the whole Tehillim every day. I cook, I clean. I didn't know of anything on my radar that I need to work on. And I came to you, and I realized in order to change my son, I had to change everything about myself. First of all, the concept of having self-control is unbelievable. That I want to say something and I control myself. That I want to do something, I want to get angry and I don't get angry. Midas. I have control over myself. That's unbelievable. And then she says, I opened up a new door to a whole path of learning and understanding other people that I never had. Ach and vey. How horrible it would have been for me to live my life like that judgmental sitting on my high horse that I thought I'm so great and these people, oh, I pity them, without understanding that other people struggle and other people are good even though they can't be as good as I thought I was. I just had a father, a very chashuv father, who did a lot of good for Klal Yisrael, was makar of hundreds of people, and he's a wonderful person and has a beautiful family, and he told me, thank you, Hashem, that you gave me this kid and that I came to you, Avi, because I'm a different person. And his wife said, and his children, who are older, successful people, said, we have new parents. It's zicho chamidus. They get broken, unfortunately, and they become elevated. In what? In midas. Really, betachlis hamidus, of not looking down on other people, of having an ayin tova, to really be able to see the same thing as somebody else. And one person says, ach, fed, disgusting, shegit, shiksa, goita, all these words. And the ayin tova person says, this is a chelik alakami mal mamish. And probably she went through a very hard time and she needs a lot of love and we could save her. You're different people. Before the Torah, you're different people. You have an ayin tova. You have an ayin tova. You have a ruach nemucha. You have a nefesh shvela. You don't think you're God's gift to humanity. You have anava, real anava. Not that I'm going to make believe like, it's like not only am I so great, but I also am an anav. In other words, I really should sit at the front, but I'm going to act with an anivus because I'm adding that to my greatness that I'm also an anav. That's not real anava. That's not real shiflus. Moshe Rabbeinu was anav mikol adam doesn't mean that he acted with anava knowing I'm really the greatest gift to humanity, but I'm going to act with anava so I can add it on my matzeva, it should say, and not only was he a Talmud Chacham Muflig, and not only he was Mekar of people, but he also acted with such anava. So I want that to be on my matzeva. So when I walk into a room, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to try to look like the picture of the Chavetz Chaim. I'm going to walk like the Chavetz Chaim. And when they tell me, oh, we want you to sit up front, I'm going to say, no, it's okay. No, chdafnish. I know how to act anava, but to be humble is a whole different ballgame. Taharas Hamidus is the etzem hayadus etzel Yehudi. It's who we are. Before we learn how to act, it's what we are. Lasois es moichoi, to create my mind, she yehei moyach Yehudi. It's so beautiful, his words. You have to have a Yiddish mind. Forget about how to shake the lulav and when to eat matzah and all of that. But what are you? What is a Jew? A Jew is different. We go to the gym of the mind. People look at us and they say we're different. We have an adinus. We have a sweetness to us. We have a chen. We're careful about other people. We're not selfish. We put other people before us. Even for ruchnius, people are shtipping. I want to see the Rebbe. They push somebody else. How do you do that? Let the other person go first. caring about other people. Nobody cares about other people in this world like Jews do. Not because it says it in the Torah. It's who we are. We are Rachmanim b'nei Rachmanim. We are Rachmanim b'yishanim gaim lechasadim. It's who we are. And it's revealing that within ourselves, bringing that out to be the maximum Jew. Then we could learn Torah. Then the Torah is gonna infuse us. The Torah we're gonna be what does he say? Hashrois HaTorah. We're gonna be a Merkava, a chariot that the Torah can dwell inside of us. But when it comes to a Baal Gaiva, let's say, a person is egotistical, Hashem says, Ein ani v'hu yicholim ladur, I can't be with you. So I don't care how much Torah you learn, I'm not giving you my The Torah is a conduit for light that comes from Hashem, a light that you could see from one end of the world to the other, that is above space and time, and is above life and death. But Hashem, it says, I'm not giving you that light. You'll know Baba Kama, but you're not getting the light that lies in Baba Kama. And we see this. We see people who are very brilliant, but they don't have the light. They're not gedolim. They're smart. They're brilliant. What a waste. They didn't work on themselves. Work on your brain, that you should have a Jewish brain. A Jewish mindset is different than a Gaisha mindset. Jewish priorities are different than Gaisha priorities. And we see it today, mamish in an extreme. And of course, we have to work on this because it infiltrates us. A guy will tell you, are you crazy? 18, 19, 20 years old, you want to get married and have children? Are you out of your mind? They take over your whole life. They don't understand the whole idea. No, first you build yourself up, and you're 30, 35 years old, and now they could freeze their eggs so they could wait another 10, 20 years. And then if you need company, and that's why there's so many dogs, because they don't have company, so you get an animal. And this way the animal, if you don't like it, you let go of the leash and goodbye. And animal's going to give you love. And they can't understand the concept of building a family. We're different. We have a Mayach Yehudi. It's who we are. They can't understand the idea that I'm going to give away a large chunk of my money to build hospitals. You look at every chesed place that's built, even in the Freya, you look at hospitals, most of the time you'll see a Jewish name. Even a Freya person, because there's a Jewish person in there. And we give and we share, we care about community. We care about Aniyeh Ircha Kaidim, but we care about all Aniyim. We care about which Gaisha community can have charity campaigns every single day. Who would care? Why do I care? And all the organizations, all the gemachs, thousands of gemachs, because we have a Mayach Yehudi. And then we have to work on the next step. V'halev yalev Yehudi. Our heart should be a Jewish heart. Jewish feelings. When a subject comes up, we should feel like a Jew should feel. And our Ivarim, our body, our limbs should become Jewish Ivarim. And that's before you're learning. We become a Jew. A Jew. He says in Chelik Aleph in Akdama, he says there are different types of levels of a Yid. Every Yid is a Chelik L'Kam Imal. We're all children of Hashem, of course. But there are some Jews that their relationship to Yahadus, to Judaism, is that they're Yehudi b'toilada. They were born to a Jewish mother, so they're born, so they're a Jew. And that's the extent of their relationship. They'll make a bar mitzvah, but they're a Yehudi b'toilada. They happen to have been born a Jew. And a lot comes with that as well. Then there's a Yehudi b'hanhaga, someone who behaves like a Jew. And then there's a Yehudi be'etzem, the real ultimate, a Yehudi who is trained in his midas to absorb Torah and to learn Torah and absorb it and become something on a much, much higher level. So midas is not something we should be learning 10 minutes a day, Musa Seder, half hour a day. Midas defines our level that we will have Ashrayis Hashchina and that we will absorb in our veins, in our mind, in our heart, We will absorb the light, the Or HaGanas that lies inside Torah. Torah is knowledge, but under the knowledge, inside the knowledge, is a superpower. And in order to access that, that comes from our midas.